You know, when you think about domestic violence, you think about the appearance on the outside. That's what you think about when you think about a woman getting hit or whatever the man in her life is doing to her. But there's also the scars and the emotion on the inside. There's abuse that goes on the inside that people don't see. And I'm about to introduce you to a lady who has quite the story. Her name is Mary Louise Grenay. She's from Pennsylvania. Yeah. She's a U.S. Army veteran, served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah, this woman is bad. She's awesome. She served as a public affairs specialist. She was a spokesperson for all U.S. deployed forces during Afghanistan deployment at the age of 20 and 21. Yeah, very impressive. She's a published journalist. She's a photojournalist. She has a 7-year-old daughter, Aslan. She's now retired by the Department of Veteran Affairs. She enjoys being a very active stay-at-home mom, volunteering with her churches, all the community service programs, Project Renewal being one of those, and the Ahimsa House, which is something incredible that she's going to tell you a little bit about. Please welcome to the stage Mary Louise Grenay.
Well, hi, everybody. What a great time to come together, and what a great day. It's so great to see so many members of our community out here dancing, reciting original poetry, and even you guys out here supporting us. Because when you guys support Project Renewal, you're not just supporting some big organization. You're supporting real people, real women, real children, just like myself and my daughter. So yeah, today is anniversary to the day, and personally it's a great day for me because this is the 1-year anniversary to the day of when I fled my situation and went to Project Renewal to safety. So, yes, thank you. So like it was mentioned, I'm a survivor of psychological abuse. And so many people, when they think of domestic violence, they think of the bloody nose or the black eye or the broken arm. I didn't have any of that. Psychological abusers, though, they have a different tactic. You can take somebody, you can go out and kidnap somebody, bring them in and beat them and chain them to a radiator. Or you can groom them and win their trust and their love, and mentally, they will chain themselves to that radiator, and they will stay there for years and years enduring that abuse. So my personal story is, yes, I was in a relationship, and it started out really great. Psychological abusers make sure of that. They groom their victims. They do a lot of love bombing, I learned is an actual term for abusers and narcissists who do this to people. For example, on our first date, my designer shoes. And he took me to the store and bought me some designer shoes. That's pretty great, right? Just a week and a half later, he professed his love and said he wanted to be serious. That's something else they do. They move fast and hard to win your trust. So, like I mentioned, it was a great year. He spent lots of time and energy and expense on myself and my daughter, and it all culminated to him telling me, hey, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to buy a house for you. You get to pick the house. I got to pick the house, guys. Here's the thing. The house had to be in his neighborhood over an hour from my friend's, my neighborhood. Because when abusers work, their first strike is to control you, and through that, they first have to isolate you. So there is an escalation to abuse, as I learned, and looking back on my situation, I realized, wow, it was pretty textbook. So he got me into the house, and right away those dominoes started to fall. It doesn't go from 0 to 100. It goes slowly, so that way they can still keep you under that control. He started to get very jealous. Suddenly he was questioning me, who I was with, who I was talking to, and that's the first thing is jealousy. Then it's control. Now it's not just where are you going, but no, you have to get my permission to go. And it wasn't just that I had to have permission, he was checking on it. It started with a Ring doorbell camera, then 2 more cameras popped up outside, and then a total of 3 cameras inside, not to mention the audio recording devices that I found hidden throughout the house. And also, he brought it up, hey, I think we should have a joint bank account. I think you should put your money and your savings in a joint account just so we can, I can go in there and make sure the bills are paid. So that's something else they do. They get financial control. Because if they have financial control over you, then you're dependent on them and you can't leave. Then after control comes verbal abuse. So suddenly, now I wasn't really beautiful anymore. Now I'm not so beautiful, and I'm lucky that he'll even give me the time of day. And too bad I don't look like all these other girls. Then there's threats. So one of the ways that my abuser threatened me was not so much to threaten me individually, but threaten what I love. I love my animals. I have some kitties and I have a tortoise, and I'm going to warn you. Suddenly he started making these off-color jokes, as he called them, and I'm going to warn you, they're pretty disturbing. He suddenly started to joke about, oh, I'm going to cook up some fresh cat on the grill for dinner, or how about some turtle soup? It's only a joke if everyone's laughing, and the only one was laughing was him, and it wasn't because of a punchline, it was because of the hurt that he was putting me through. So after threats come actual physical abuse. And while I was able to walk away without any of those bruises or bloody noses, that moment came close, as I came to find out. So there I was one night crying and sobbing in one of the bedrooms, and he came in to yell at me and berate me for crying. And it got to the point where I was backed into a corner, huddled to the ground, crying while he stood over me, yelling at me, getting closer and closer to my face. And he only stopped when he heard another voice in the room. We were not alone. I was on the phone with an operator for the Veterans Crisis Line. Things had gotten so bad at home that I was calling the Veterans Crisis Line once a month for 3 months. And of course, that crisis line is for veterans who are in severe mental trouble, that they are considering suicide as a viable option out. And so the last one on the list is homicide/suicide. So with psychological abuse, again, they don't have to put a hand on you. They can wear you down to the bone where you kill yourself. So fortunately, God was looking out for me. I trust wholeheartedly in Jesus, my Lord and Savior, and God, my Father, and he was with me through it all. And I had some great friends that he put in place as my angels, and they called the authorities to do a welfare check on me. So at this point, I had been trying to plan a way out for the past couple of weeks, and I had hit a road bump, which was I had no place for my cats to go and my turtle. So when you go to a shelter, it's a shelter for people. It's not a shelter for animals. So the deputies, they came out, they took my statement, and of course they said, well, did he hit you? Did he put his hands on you? Well, no. Oh, well, that's not nice, but that's not abuse. Why don't you just leave? Well, I'm trying. I messed everything up, but now that you guys came here, now he's going to know I'm trying to leave. So you guys kind of messed everything up. So the next day, March 19, I went to my daughter's school, and I had questions about attendance and tardiness because I didn't know what was going to be in store for me and my daughter. And I talked to the counselor, the school counselor there, and she heard what all I had to say, and she was gravely concerned. And she brought out a list of resources, and at the top of that list was Project Renewal. And she said, I think you need to call them. So I gave him a call, And the woman who was manning their crisis line, I told her what all was going on at home, and I said, but I don't know if that's abuse. And she said, oh, and her name was Angie. Some of you know Angie. She said, oh, let me stop you right there. That most certainly is abuse. And I had to pause. For the first time, somebody actually validated me. It was abuse. So from there, she got me in touch with a Hemza house, because I said, well, what about my animals? I cannot leave. He'll kill them. And she said, well, let me stop you right there, too. She said, there's a Hemza house. They will foster your animals while you existed, water, or in a shelter. I had no idea something like that even existed. And she said, if we can get things lined up with a Hemza house and I can get a deputy out there to take you back to get your stuff, will you leave tonight? I said, yes, I will leave right now. So the deputy came out and escorted me back to the house. I barely had time to pack one bag for me, one bag for my daughter, and get my animals together when my abuser showed up. He parked his car, he got out, and he made a beeline straight for me. To this day, I don't know entirely what his intentions are, but like our other survivor mentioned, she could tell that it wasn't good. Fortunately, I had a deputy there, a Walton County deputy, and he came out from around the corner, and he stood there in between my abuser and me. He said, get in the car and go. I put the last bag in the car, and I took off. So that's my story. And when you guys help, you help people not only get to safety that day and be safe for a week. I was at Project Renewal altogether for about 2 months, and you find it so amazing, all the things that you can accomplish in such a short time when you don't have to worry. Am my daughter and I going to be safe for the night? Are we going to have something to eat? Are my animals safe? And do I have to worry about any of these bills? When you don't have to worry about any of that, you can focus and you can get the job done to change your life. So my case manager, Nisi at Project Renewal, she was great. She helped me act fast to get my protection order in place, and I am so glad, guys, because I did some research, and it looks like abuse victims, it takes them on average, 7 escape attempts to permanently leave their abuser. Often they go back because it's hard for them to get a life started up again. But I was able to get my life started back up. And that first night at the shelter, it's a hard transition, and I almost got thinking dark thoughts. Wow, this is where my life has come to. I'm in a shelter with my child. Have I failed? Is this rock bottom? No. And I'm very proud to tell my story to even random people I meet, because going to a women's shelter, that's not rock bottom. Rock bottom was the day before you went first. Going to a program like Project Renewal is the first grasp pulling yourself out. So during those 2 months, I was able to get that protection order. I was able to secure my VA loan. And last summer was tough for buying a house, let me tell you. In just those, really a month and a half, I was able to close on a house. So with places like Project Renewal, and very specifically Project Renewal, it takes women like myself from no longer being the victim. I'm no longer Mary the victim. Again, I'm Mary the veteran. I'm Mary the mother. I am Mary the homeowner. I'm Mary the volunteer with my church, with Project Renewal, and with a Hemza house. I'm a certified foster now. And most importantly, I'm Mary the survivor.
Project Renewal is a domestic violence intervention program, changing lives in Rockdale, Newton, and Walton counties. Project Renewal officially opened its doors on November 13, 1995, as the first tri-county shelter for victims of domestic violence.